On the win, Ralf, what was the difference between that game and quite a lot of the other home games that you've had as interim manager?
Well, we also had some good home games, but there were a couple of weeks ago. I think tonight we showed probably one of our best performances in the last 6 months in possession of the ball. We had, I think, 3 or 74% possession in the first half, and in total at the end, I think 65. High passing accuracy of 91%, and this was, for me, the reason why we were controlling the game in vast areas of the game. Obviously, it also had to do with the players on the pitch, with 3 creative central midfielders, with Juan Mata, with Bruno, and Nemanja Matic. And whenever we played the ball behind their backline, whenever we increased speed and were not just playing in possession for the sake of being in possession, we had our moments. This is how we scored the first goal. Even the very narrow offside position of Cristiano would have been the second goal. And that's why we were in control of the game in most parts. We still had a few gaps defensively, but in general, I think I was pleased with the performance that we showed tonight.
Hi Ralf, just wanted to talk on David De Gea quickly. Obviously, while we know he has that good shot-stopping ability, he only completed 2 out of 13 long passes tonight. Do you feel he lacks that ability in terms of his ball playing and sweeping ability?
What do you mean when he is in possession, David De Gea? What do you mean?
Ability and sweeping in general.
Yeah. I still didn't quite. Maybe you can help me to.
Playing that from the back.
Obviously, his ball playing ability out back.
Yes, but I mean, in total, I think he played again today. He had a couple of great saves on the goal line, and as long as he plays the ball with his strong foot, I think he's also good in possession of the ball. But I think in the first half, the only thing that we could have done better, we played too many square and back passes in moments where it was not necessary, where we played too slow and stayed too long in possession of the ball. And that were probably those moments that you were talking about. For me, it was not David De Gea to blame. I just blame the players who played the ball too often back to him.
Ralf, this was your last game here as United manager anyway. How would you look back on your time having games at Old Trafford, managing games at Old Trafford? How would you look back at it as a personal experience?
Well, to start with, the season is not yet over. We have another 2 games to play away at Brighton and Crystal Palace. I think it was in different. We have to divide it into different parts. I think we had very good games, very good performances to start with, and in between. If I think about the home games against West Ham, against Tottenham, away game against Leeds. But what we lacked in general was just consistency. And at times we had problems to score goals. Then we scored 3 today. We scored 4 against Leeds. To start with, it was important to stabilize the team and help them to concede not that many goals. But as I said, what was lacking was consistency. We also spoke about the fact that we lost quite a few important players. I mean, the team that won against West Ham at home 2 weeks later, all of a sudden 3 of them were no longer here or long-term injured. So this also didn't help us. And if you compare that with other teams in the league, in the top flight, they all brought in some new players in the winter. We didn't. But again, obviously, I'm not completely happy with those 6 months. I would have expected us to qualify for Champions League. This was the goal that we had, but in the end, as I said, we were just not consistent enough.
There's another goal for Cristiano tonight, Ralf. I know you've obviously said the club needs another striker, and he's 37. Doesn't represent the future, but you think he can still play a very useful and important role for Eric next season?
Well, I mean, the way that he played again tonight, not only because he scored a goal, he also won the penalty. He also helped defensively. tonight. So why shouldn't he not be a player that could be still part of the squad and help the team? But this is a question you have to ask Eric then once he's here. And obviously it's also important, how does Cristiano himself see his role and his position?
Ralf, if you had this squad, the same squad, but the pre-season, your pre-season, could it have been different, this team under you? So what I'm saying is it's very difficult coming in halfway through, the club's in a bit of difficulty.
Yes, we had no pre-season. We still had some breaks in between, which is probably also unusual for you here in England, that we had, I think, 2 or 3 breaks in between. But in 2 of those 3 breaks, there were hardly any players there because they were on international duty. Yes, we had no pre-season. Yes, we were not able to bring in some new players. But again, still, I would have hoped and expected that we had won more points. I think we dropped too many points after being 1 or 2-0 up. And we could easily have had 6, if not 8 or 10 points more.
And Ralf, have you had a chance to speak to Jesse at all? Obviously, he's been here a long time. Potentially the last chance he would have got to play here and didn't get on.
Yes, but he, as you know, for personal family reasons, he didn't train a lot. I think yesterday was the first training session when, again, after he asked me to allow him some time at home. Yes, again, tonight was one of those nights where I would have loved to have 5 substitutes for other players. Also, Alejandro Garnacho, I would have loved to bring him after being 3-0 up and let him play for 15 minutes. But then I had to decide between substituting and bringing on him or Edison Cavani. And that's why I decided to play Edison.
And just on Juan, obviously he played quite well tonight. The manager has already told everyone that he's leaving. Juan, I don't think has said anything. He's not confirmed, but it looked like he was saying bye to the stadium. Is it your understanding that he won't be here next year? And that was insane.
I don't know. As you said, he hasn't confirmed that, but yeah, it's possible. And I think that was also an important night for players who have been here quite a long time and played well for this club. And if it was their last game, to say farewell with a night like this, it was also a good experience, a great experience for those players.
Juan played very well. Do you regret not using him more? He doesn't seem. He's played a bit more recently, but he's not started too many games.
Yes, I mean, again, he hasn't. I don't know if maybe it was even the first game that he played from the beginning of the season. Definitely in the last 6 months, but I think even under Ole, he didn't play from the beginning. Also had to do with the opposition in his position. But in the last couple of weeks, he was one of those players who also in training showed how professional he is and how much he just loves this game. And this was even, I think you could literally feel and see it, how much he is still a professional player and how much he loves the game. At times he had moments where he almost played like a magician.
Another question for you. Sir Alex Ferguson shockingly omitted Cristiano Ronaldo from his all-time Manchester United starting 11 today. What's your take on that, and does he make yours?
Sorry, say again.
Sir Alex Ferguson omitted, he left Cristiano Ronaldo out of his all-time Manchester United starting 11, his ideal 11. What's your opinion on that, and does he make yours?
I don't know. I've only been here for 6 months, so I don't know all those players that played under Sir Alec. I mean, this is a question you have to ask Sir Alec. He's not that far.
All-time Manchester United history.
Yeah, but I know the players who played here in the last 10 or 15 years, so I'm the wrong person to ask that question. Please ask Sir Alec.
But even at 37, is he the greatest player you've managed in your career?
Yeah, but you were now asking me if I share Sir Alex's opinion. I can't answer that question, sorry, because...
any more questions?
Ralf, do you know Ronaldo, obviously today he drifted a lot to the left. Could that sort of affect the type of young striker you buy in the summer? Obviously with him now, obviously playing well and he's quite good now.
Yeah, I mean, Cristiano is not a central striker. He also does not want to play in that position, but... I mean, in order to not play central, you either have to play with 2 strikers, as we did in the last 15 minutes, or in my first game against Crystal Palace and in the second one against Norwich, and even in the second half against Newcastle. But, I mean, if you look into international football, there are not that many top teams who still play with 2 strikers. Most of the international top teams play with either 3 strikers or with a false 9. So, yeah, for me, it's not a question of position. It's also a question of what kind of quality players will Manchester United have in the future. So, and it's obvious that the club needs I would say at least 2 new strikers who just to give this team more quality and more options and more, I would even call it weapons.
So in terms of 2 strikers, does that mean 2 strikers and not wingers, or just 2 strikers?
Strikers. I mean, modern strikers do not necessarily have to be wingers. If you look into, again, Liverpool and Manchester City and look at their strikers, they have in their squad 5 or 6 top-class strikers. Gabriel Jesus, until 4 weeks ago, he hardly played. Now he's playing again regularly. I mean, if you look at the number of players they have, and if you ask me, is Gabriel Jesus a central striker or a winger? Is Grealish a winger or a central striker? They're all strikers, and they can play in different positions. They can also switch. They can rotate. And that kind of players, we don't have that many. Mason Greenwood would have been one of those players who regularly played, but then after the West Ham game, he was no longer part of the squad. Martial was on loan at Sevilla. Edison Cavani was injured most of the time, so we didn't have that many alternatives up front.
Ralf,
Okay, last question.
with that kind of strong performance, does it leave you kind of disappointed that you didn't perform more like that this season?
Yes, but I said that earlier on. We should have played more consistently on a higher level, but again, we didn't, and that's why we are no longer in the race for the 4th place, and this has got to do with consistency.
Okay, guys, thank you very much.
Thank you.